From a quality standpoint, this year's Breeders' Cup Mile might have been a little bit suspect, which led us to just a wide open betting affair. But at the same time, it was a pretty solid group, all things considered, and it was a great betting opportunity. You could go a few different ways. Let's take a look at the field. Post-time favorite ended up being Oscar Performance, and you can understand Oscar Performance on his best day is one of the best milers we have here in the United States, no question about it. But he was coming into this race on the heels of a pretty soft trip winning gate-to-wire fashion of the Woodbine Mile. If you didn't like him, you had plenty of interesting alternatives, whether it was some Europeans being like Expert Eye or One Master or Gustav Klimt or Mustachery or any of those kind of horses, or if you so chose, some of our domestic horses. You had a horse like Catapult or Analyze It. Perhaps he'd get back to his best form. Ultimately, what you got was a very, very exciting finish. Here's the stretch run of the mile.
VZ Darrow on the far outside comes on. Catapult in between those two as they arrive at the 8th pole. And then it's Lightning Spear and Expert Eye on the outside. Analyze It digs in. Catapult alongside. DeVZ Darrow down the middle. It's Analyze It, Catapult, DeVZ Darrow, One Master coming late. Expert Eye on the far outside. They're coming down to the line. Here's Expert Eye and Frankie. They got up the win in the last strides.
Expert Eye gets the job done. We already talked about Judd Mont and Frankie, but guess what? They do it again. They have another Breeders' Cup winner here at odds of 5-1. Catapult runs second for John Sadler at odds of 7-1. Analyze It, the pace setter, runs third at odds of 6-1, and Divisadero runs fourth at odds of 43-1. Let's take a look a little bit deeper at your winner, Expert Eye. Expert Eye is a pretty solid horse at this point in his career, no question about it. 5 of 10 lifetime, 8 times in the money from 10 lifetime starts, $1.8 million in career earnings, owned by Juddmont Farms Incorporated, trained by Sir Michael Stout, bred by Juddmont Farms Limited in Great Britain, ridden to victory by Frankie Dettori, and you can see the pedigree at the bottom of the horse card. He's by acclamation out of a Dancilli mare named Exemplify. Now, again, I made mention it's not maybe a stellar edition of this race, especially when you look at the figures. From a time form standpoint, slightly better than the Buyers. Time form, pace-adjusted number for Expert Eye, 124. Catapult, 124. Analyze It, 125. Divisadero, 124. On the Buyer side of things, Expert Eye earns a 101, and the next 3 finishers all earn 100 Buyers. When you look and see the final time, they stopped the clock in 1:39.4. I believe this is the slowest Breeders' Cup Mile in history. So much of that, though, had to do with this turf course. A few things that we can talk about. Expert Eye, Frankie, I believe, at one point even said it. He goes, in deep stretch, or mid-stretch, rather, we were in trouble. This horse was just kind of spinning his wheels, and I think perhaps it was a combination of him continuing to just kind of plug along, and look, he came home in 24:44. That's faster than basically everyone else in this race. But I think it was also a product of those horses in front of him getting a little bit tired, feeling the effects of that boggy turf course. Catapult set a pretty good trip, all things considered, just off the pace. He came with his bid and just couldn't quite get there, but a good effort from him nonetheless. And really, Sadler's done a phenomenal job with him, because when he was here on the East Coast with Chad got some success out of him, but we know Chad is the best turf trainer in the country, if not arguably right there with O'Brien in the world. And you obviously throw John Gosden in there as well. The fact that Sadler has gotten this much more out of Catapult, I think is just, to me, I said it weeks ago, I think Catapult is the best training job that Sadler has ever done. Now, perhaps Accelerate is the best horse, and he has the biggest sort of accolades. But, boy, considering what he's gotten out of Catapult, I think you can make a serious case that this training job from John Sadler is as good as, if not better than, what he's done with Accelerate. Analyze It, good to see him get back to his best form. I think this distance is probably best form. The fact that he stuck around as long as he did, I think that's a testament to him. This is what he wants to do. I'll be very interested to see if he continues on. I would imagine he'll go on as a 4-year-old, and if he does, where do they choose to go with him? My heart was jumping out of my chest, turning for home. I thought, look, Divisadero gave me a thrill. I picked him in this race. He was my Arkong bet, the big bomber. I gave him out all weekend, and for turning for home, it looked like he was there, and he acquitted himself very nicely as the second longest shot on the board at odds of 43-1, only to lose by 3/4 of a length. He gets back to his best form. There's something about that Churchill Downs turf course that he just absolutely adores. He couldn't quite get there, but he gave me a thrill on a weekend that, for the most part, or a Saturday anyway, that was certainly a forgettable one for me. As far as the rest of the field is concerned, not a heck of a lot, other than Oscar performance. We need to touch on him briefly because he just totally missed the break. And at that point, when you are behind essentially the entire field over that kind of turf course, I'm just not convinced he was ever going to love life. I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt here because I don't think this certainly wasn't an indicative effort from him. We know he's capable of better on his best day. It is just, this isn't the race that you want to hold against him. Let's put it that way. If you want to hold the Arlington Million against him, if you want to look at that race up at Woodbine and say you had everything go your way, that's fine. But I don't think you can use this race, the Breeders' Cup Mile, as the race to say one way or the other whether you think this horse can still run or you think he's a top-level runner or you're just trying to fade him. Because I don't think he ever got a real opportunity. You would like to think that he would have been in a similar position to that of Catapult and Analyze, and if he was, and he could handle the going, perhaps he is the one that gets right there at the wire. Who knows? We'll never know. But you're not supposed to hold this race against him, given the fact that he didn't get out of the gate. Expert Eye. He gets the job done here. Sounds like they're up in the air. He may end up staying in training. He may end up retiring or going off to stud. For what it's worth, John Sadler said that Catapult is a live and prime contender, or at least a probable runner, in that Pegasus World Cup on turf, how they have split that up where you have a dirt and a turf race. Catapult is a likely runner in that spot on the grass down at Gulfstream Park here in a few months. But the rest of the field has really not been a ton publicized one way or the other at this point. We'll find out in the days to come, in the weeks to come, where some of these horses will show up again. But Expert Eye, he gets the job done in this year's Breeders' Cup Mile, a wide-open edition of the Breeders' Cup Mile. 124 time form, U.S. rating 101 by your speed figure.